Good day, people of YouTube. What's going on? The name is AK, owner of Extreme Magic Productions, and today I'm bringing you yet another X-Talk video presentation. And today I'm going to be giving my final thoughts on the Nintendo Switch as we know it. Now, this is now a day before the special January 2017 presentation that was announced about 2 months ago now. This is the presentation where we are going to find out basically all, if not the majority, of the information surrounding the Nintendo Switch. This is where we'll be getting the release date, the price, hopefully the specifications, but definitely, of course, we'll actually be able to see what games will be coming out on the Switch. We have a few titles so far, but it's a very small list if you look at it in terms of like AAA titles. If you look at indies, it gets a little bit bigger, but there's still an incredibly small list of confirmed or announced games for the system. So tomorrow, January 12th or January 13th, depending on where you live, because the presentation is going to be taking place in Japan. So depending on where you live, it could be the 12th or the 13th. We'll finally be able to know exactly everything about the Switch. We'll most likely be seeing stuff like its system interface and everything like that, and know what features it's going to have. And it's amazing that we're finally going to actually be able to know what this console is all about, because if you remember, the Switch was announced all the way back in spring of 2015. It's 2015. So it's been almost a full 2 years since we first knew of the system's existence. Of course, we knew it as the NX at the time, and we've only known it as the NX up until October of last year, 2016. So it has been an incredibly long time coming for us to really know everything about this system. So here we are now, a little bit over 24 hours before we will finally get all the major details, and there is just so many questions that we still have. You know, how much is it going to cost? What's the battery life like? How does it stack up against the PS4 and Xbox One? How extensive is the third-party support? You know, how easy is it really to develop for? What improvements have been made to the online experience? There's just so many questions that we have. And the way I feel about this system is that I really like the concept. And I've mentioned this before in another video, which I did for the channel that I work for. It's a part of the company I work for, a Nintendo enthusiast, where I talked about how a hybrid, before we knew that what the Switch was, this was way back, like in the, I think between the spring and summer of 2015, I did this video where I talked about where a hybrid system would really make sense, because those were the rumors at the time, and of course it turned out to be true. But a hybrid system does make sense because Nintendo's home console market has been shrinking over the course of the past 4 generations. If you were to look at a chart, you would see that the SNES sold less than the NES. The GameCube sold less, the N64 sold less than the SNES. The GameCube sold less than the N64. Then we have the Wii, where it shot up. It became Nintendo's best-selling home system ever, but then the trend came back with the Wii U, where it has now sold less, way less than the Wii, and even less than the GameCube. So once you take the Wii out of the equation, you can see that Nintendo has really been losing their position in the home console market for a very long time. This is basically a two-decade period. That's a very long time. Meanwhile, Xbox and PlayStation have only been expanding and growing. Well, Xbox has really had it rough this generation, but they're still doing better than Nintendo is. So that should really tell you that Nintendo basically needs to hit it out the park with the Switch. They can't afford to make any mistakes. The Wii U was a good system. I've had it since a month after it was first released, so I've been with the system through thick and thin. I enjoyed my time with the system, but I can't deny that Nintendo made some really bad mistakes with it. You could argue that the name was a reason as to why people didn't pay much attention to it, as to why some of them were apparently confused, even though I still don't get that. I was about either 14 or 15 when the Wii U came out, and I understood what it was from 2011 when it was first announced. I understood it was a new system. That didn't confuse me at all. So I'm not sure exactly why people were confused about it. I think it's just a matter of fact that people honestly did not care. You have to remember that Wii sales had slowed down way before the Wii U came out. So Nintendo tried to keep the branding in the same line so people could recognize it, but people just did not care, you know, generally speaking, and that's why the Wii U didn't take off. It's because people just weren't interested in Wii anything anymore. They had moved on. And so with the Switch, Nintendo is really trying to differentiate themselves completely from the Wii and Wii U. They're trying to really continue their level of uniqueness, but at the same time, they're giving us an entirely new experience. This is nothing like anything that we have. There are no console hybrids out there. And so the Switch is the very first of its kind. So it will be very interesting to see exactly how things turn out for it. But I think it really is the best move for Nintendo. They've been the king of handhelds since the very beginning. Sega tried to take them on, Sony tried to take them on, and they both failed. There's no other line of handheld systems that have been successful as Nintendo's Game Boy and DS family. Seriously, they're just amazing how much reach that these devices have had over the years. But as we can see, the handheld market is shrinking thanks to the threat of mobile phones and tablets. So it made sense for Nintendo to go ahead and try and differentiate themselves from the traditional handheld market as well. So they're taking their weakest market and their strongest market, they're combining it together, and that way they'll be able to benefit from each other's strengths. The handheld market has the benefit of being portable, so people can always have access to their device so they can play, whether it be like when they're waiting on a bus or they're on a plane or waiting online in a bank or something. They can just whip out their device and play. That's been the biggest attractiveness about a portable device, and now we can have that except with a console quality experience. The Vita tried it. The Vita did try to bring console gaming on the go, but it was still a handheld at the end of the day. It wasn't a hybrid, it was still a handheld. So now we have a device that really is it's really just a console that you can take on the go, and I think it's amazing that Nintendo has been able to do this. We already know that the Switch is, without doubt, more powerful than the Wii U, and even though the Wii U was not a super powerful system, it was still able to produce some really beautiful looking games. In the hands of the right developers, we got amazing games like Xenoblade Chronicles X, Super Mario 3D World, Mario Kart 8, Fast Racing Neo, Bayonetta 2, I'm just naming a few. These are really beautiful looking games, and the fact that we can now have this on a device that's even more powerful than the Wii U, and it's part portable, that is simply amazing. And I think the fact that Nvidia is also spearheading the technology behind it, that makes it even better. It's going to make things super easy for developers, because obviously Nvidia is a very big company. They basically own the PC gaming market. AMD has been challenging them a lot through the past years, but Nvidia has continued to stay on top. So if you're familiar with the PC gaming market at all, then you should know that Nvidia definitely means business. And the CEO himself already said that he's very excited for the Switch. It's going to be a very Nintendo machine, and it's going to be easy to port games from PS4 and Xbox One. He said it himself. This isn't a rumor. That is something that he said. But of course, we're going to have to wait and see until tomorrow when we actually look at the games running on the Switch to know exactly for sure if it really can do what the PS4 and Xbox One can do. But we do know that the Unreal Engine 4, it is running the full version of Unreal Engine 4. And that is one of the most popular, most complex gaming engines out there. So if the Switch can handle it, that's a really good sign, okay? That's a really good sign. Another thing I want to touch on is the price. Price is going to be very important. I already mentioned how Nintendo has reduced position in the home console market. So what they really have to do is they have to be aggressive. They have to be as aggressive as possible. They have to advertise this thing to high heaven. You have to get tired of seeing Switch advertisements. That's how badly they have to advertise this thing. And on top of that, getting a good price is also going to be very important, because right now Nintendo's reputation is not in the best place. So people are worried, people are on the fence. Even if they think the system is cool, that's not going to be enough to make them want to shell out $300, $350, $400 for it. So they need to be aggressive with the price, and all of the rumors that have come out have been pointing the Switch being priced somewhere between $200 to $300, and I think that is perfect. Of course, the Xbox One S and the PS4 Slim are both priced at $299 right now officially. And then you have the sales every now and again that bring them down. So The Switch, if it's between $200 and $300, that is the perfect price point for it. It's going to be super competitive, and a lot of reports are really pointing to $250. So if it really is officially $250, at least just for like a basic bundle or something, I think that's still pretty good, and it's going to help Nintendo be aggressive. And don't think a low price means that it's going to be weak either, because look at the mobile phone market, and basically just the mobile market entirely. Remember Google and the Nexus line? For years now, they've been teaming up with other manufacturers like LG, HTC, Samsung, and others to produce devices that were powerful but not expensive, way more affordable than an iPhone, an iPad, or a high-end Samsung device, and so forth and so on. So the Nexus line has always been synonymous with having great specs for a low price. And we saw that again last year with phones like the OnePlus 3 and the Axon 7, and other phones similar to those had really great specs, almost exactly the same as flagships like Samsung's high-end devices, and they were cheap, really cheap. They were like $400. Almost half of what you would pay if you were to get like an iPhone or a high-end Samsung device or a Google Pixel. So that goes to show that just because technology is expensive, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's powerful. So don't look at price and power and try and judge it like that. Of course, that is the case in some cases, but not always. So I really think that the pricing is going to be more on the aggressive side for the Switch. I really do expect it to be $250, and if it is, that is going to be absolutely perfect. That's going to really give people incentive to go out and buy it. And of course, the most important thing is the games. The Wii U and the 3DS both suffered from terrible launch lineups. Absolutely terrible. I mean, they weren't drastically awful, but I mean, it's like when compared to other systems, they were kind of terrible. And that's one of the reasons why both those systems struggled to get off the ground in their early months. So if Nintendo can really hit it out of the park with big names from the very beginning, then the Switch basically has no choice but to sell. In fact, the only thing that should stop it from selling is if it's sold out. Hopefully it's not sold out too much, but if it is, then that's a good thing. That shows that there's a lot of demand for it, and if you remember, the Wii was sold out for months, and look how that turned out, over 100 million units. I don't think the Switch is going to reach that level. I don't think Nintendo's ever going to see that level again, but hopefully it will be more successful than the Wii U, and I think it will be. At this point, Nintendo should have definitely learned its lesson. The Wii U had a lot of problems. It had a lot of good points, but it had a lot of problems too. So I really hope Nintendo took a lot of time to really look at those problems and address those now with the Switch, And I think this is it. I think however this presentation turns out, that is going to determine the future of the Switch, because we're now 2 months away from release. So whatever is shown off, that's it. That's the final thing. However the games look, if they're coming out this year, that's probably how they're going to look when they come out. So the games that you see at this event, more than likely aren't going to be canceled or delayed, hopefully. So whatever you see at this presentation, that's going to be it. That's set in concrete. Because we're only 2 months away. This isn't like how it usually is where we're a year away or 6 months or something like that. No, we are only 2 months away from a worldwide release. So this is it. This is the final stretch. However Nintendo handles this presentation, that's going to determine the Switch's future, whether it be for good or whether it be for bad. And however the Switch performs, this is Nintendo's last chance, I think, in terms of making a console that people are really going to pay attention to. They're a great company. They've done wonders for the gaming industry. They're the reason why we even have a gaming industry today. But PlayStation and Xbox have definitely stolen the thunder from Nintendo. They've pulled the rug from under its feet. Nintendo really needs to get at it. Their backs aren't against the wall. They're part of the wall at this point. So they need to break out of that wall and really show the world what they're made of. And the Switch is the perfect answer to that. It's unique. It's innovative. It looks really good. Let's just hope it turns out to be really good. So this is my last time talking about it before we really know official details. So I'm hoping that everyone's socks are blown off during that presentation. I really hope everyone is going to be able to really imagine themselves with a Switch. Whether they're a PlayStation loyal, an Xbox loyal, a PC loyal, they're going to at least have the desire to have the Switch in their entertainment setup. I'm hoping that's the effect that this presentation has on it for all the sensible-minded people out there who watch it. So I'm going to end the video here. I'm sorry it took so long. I just wanted to get my thoughts out there. And I will be doing a video as soon as the presentation is over to give my thoughts on it. And I hope that I'm going to be left impressed. So Nintendo, it's showtime. Show us what you're made of. Show us exactly what you've been working on all this time. You've been silent for so long. So really blow our socks off, make our heads explode, make Nintendo great again. This is it. Let's make it happen. Until next time, guys, I hope you have a good one, and I will catch you in the next video. Hasta la vista.